You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is November 18th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay, Skylar, floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Michigan City and members of the audience. Today is Monday, November 18th, 2024. The official time is 4 p.m. I'll call this meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety to order, and I'll begin with the roll call. Mr. Simmons?
Present.
Ms. Tisdale?
Present.
Ms. Smith?
Present.
Ms. Moore?
Present.
Chairman York is here. Attorney LePage?
Present.
And our Isabel, is Madam Clerk?
Present.
We have a quorum. Our first order of business today is approval of minutes from our regular hybrid Zoom meeting, which was held on November 4th, 2024. Do I hear a motion or amendment?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Support.
Here in a second, I'll call for the roll. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is awarding of a fuel contract. This is awarding of a fuel contract for the 2024 fuel procurement. Attorney LePage, would you like to explain this one to us?
So, Mr. President, at our last meeting, I opened the fuel procurement documents. We received 2 vendors' documents. That was on Monday. Wednesday of the same week, it was discovered that we had received a third sealed quote, but it was placed in the wrong mailbox. The third quote was received by the city via FedEx, so I was able to confirm that we had timely received it, and it should have been opened with all of our others had come that Monday. Now, the documents, we're not seeking the lowest bidder, but what we're seeking to do is create a pool of vendors. So I would be asking this board for permission to open this third quote and examine it at this point, given the circumstances that we did have it in our possession. It was stuck in the wrong mailbox and should have been opened at the same time the others were.
Yes. Thank you.
Motion to open the third bid.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Okay, so since the motion carried, the third one is from Petroleum Traders Corporation. What I'm doing is just making sure that they have submitted all of the proper forms. They have submitted all of the proper forms. So this in conjunction with the other two vendors that we received, all three have submitted the proper forms. So I would be asking this board to accept the pool of vendors from Al Warren Oil, Keystone Corp, and Petroleum Traders. Just as a refresher, every time Mr. Grabacek needs fuel, what he'll do is reach out to those three and get the lowest quote at that time for fuel. So we would be asking for permission to enter into contract with all three of those vendors.
Any questions of Attorney LePage? I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comments on this item? Any public comment? Okay, I'll close public comments. Do any other questions, or do I hear a motion?
Motion to accept all three bids are presented.
Support.
We'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Amber, for explaining that to us and getting those done for Mr. Grabacek.
No problem.
Our next order of business is a contract for professional, community, and economic development services by and between the City of Michigan City and the Economic Development Corporation of Michigan City, Indiana. Not sure, is there anyone in the audience that would like to talk about this? If not, I can talk a little bit about it. Is there anyone there, Amber?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so what this is this is a yearly contract that the city enters in with the Michigan City Economic Development Corporation. You may all know Clarence Hulse and his team, and this is that yearly contract for the services that him and his team provide for our city. Ms. Smith, do you have anything else you'd like to add on any of that since you're in the controller's office?
No, we've provided to cover this contract in the budget for 2025, so the funds are available and have been accounted for.
Ms. LePage, you reviewed the contract and you're happy with it?
Yes, it's just the standard one we've entered into with the change of dates.
Excellent. Any questions about this contract from anyone in the on the commission? Oh, I'm sorry, on the board. If not, I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comments on this contract? Any public comments on this contract? Hearing none, I'll close public comments. Do I have any other questions on this contract, or do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is closing of nominations. And this is an approval to close the nominations for the Fire Merit Commission. Amber, would you tell us a little bit about what we're actually doing right now with this motion?
So there's a seat that's opening on the Fire Merit Commission. It would be a seat occupied by members of, well, I don't want to say it's members of, but it's an appointment by members of the fire department to this board. So what we have to do by ordinance is accept any nominations. If there's more than one name submitted, then Madam Clerk has to hold an election. So right now, what I think we need to do is make a final call if there's any members of the fire department wanting to provide any nominations for a said position.
At this time, are there any nominations that would like to be submitted to the Board of Public Works from the floor? Any additional nominations? Okay, hearing none. I still need to open this up for public comment, I'm assuming.
No, I would just make a motion to close the nomination.
Do I hear a motion to close nominations? Hearing none being provided from the floor. Sounds like we have one. I'll make a motion to approve closing of nominations.
Okay.
Do I hear a
Just
second?
have a motion to close nominations.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to close nominations. If I'm sorry, maybe any. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse everyone.
That's okay. If I can jump in just real quick. Madam Clerk, did we receive any nominations in advance of closing by email or hand delivery to your office?
No, we did not receive any nominations.
So by virtue of our local ordinance, since no nominations were received, the current appointment still stands until I think such a later date that they decide to reopen it.
Okay. And they'll let us know when they open up for a merit for nominations again, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, our next order of business is approval of material bid. The Michigan City Water Department is asking for approval of material bid for the US 20 annexation area water main extension. And this stems from an ongoing project that we've been working on in conjunction with the Water Department. And there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed with the previous Board of Works. And I do believe I saw Chris Johnson in there today. Chris, would you like to come up and tell us a little bit about this and just let us know what's going on?
Good afternoon. Chris Johnson, Superintendent of the Department of Water Works. I did send out a letter in a packet. Basically, what has happened over the period of time is when we had the original agreement was for a project approximately $2.4 million in materials and labor. The Department of Water Works was covering the engineering costs. Since then, there has been a modification to the project, a combination of budgetary constraints and a better understanding of the city's obligations towards providing services to the annexed area. We've been able to significantly modify the project scope and reduce it, basically reducing it by about 45%. So with that being said, we did send out for bids from materials contractors or materials suppliers, I should say. There is also currently an open bid going on right now for the actual work, the construction labor. That's a separate bid. On the materials bid, we had 4 bidders that took the information. We only received 3 of the bids, and those bids were opened. They were sealed bids that were opened at 2 p.m. on November 5th. 2 of the bids were not complete, and they did not supply bids for materials that were in the addendums. The 3rd bidder did supply a complete bid and had all of the necessary paperwork. And their bid was Ferguson Water Works had a bid of $361,989.28. The current bid estimate from an engineering perspective, the engineer's opinion was about $555,000. So this is well below that estimate. And the way the memorandum of understanding worked is the Department of Water Works is actually taking care of the handling of the procuring of the materials and also the acquiring of a contractor. And the Board of Works had agreed to pay for the material and labor for this extension because it is an annex area. And it's under city obligation to supply water to this particular area. At this point in time, the Board of Works would have to approve this recommended bid for materials. And then the Waterworks Board will then award the recommended bid to the vendor at our next board meeting, which is next Tuesday. And then when the next bid comes in for the construction activity, we are expecting those bids. We are expecting those bids on Monday, November 25th at 2 p.m. At that point in time, we will open those bids, and I will be back before this board with those bids on the December 2nd meeting with the recommendation from the engineers based on those bid responses. And then if the board approves that, then the Waterworks Board would approve the construction activity on our December 10th meeting. And the only other issue that we would need is the Department of Waterworks did have, and they're requesting a purchase order from the city just so that we have proper mechanism for bill. Basically, the agreement was to receive invoices. We'll review the invoices, and then we will send the invoices to that are approved by our engineer. We'll have those sent to the controller's office, and the controller's office will then directly pay the vendors. The Department of Waterworks would not be paying those vendors directly, but because we're administering the contract, we'll be the ones responsible for making sure that everything is accurate and correct before it's submitted for purchase or for payment.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions of Chris from the board?
Chris, I do have a question. Would it make any sense to hold off on this because you have to come back when you open the next set of bids? Would it make sense to just, so that we know the full dollar amount, to hold off until the next meeting? Would there be any harm?
The one potential harm is that there is time to get the materials and procure the materials, and the sooner we can get the vendors, the supplier moving on their order, the sooner those materials will come in. So for example, the department purchased 5 fire hydrants back in May for a project, and we just got those about 3 weeks ago. Normally, it used to be that when we place an order like that, we'd get it very quickly. So our concern is that there could be some delay on the valves and hydrants, particularly with the order.
So I guess in my mind, the only problem that I would see is that if your next set of bids, if something comes in way over the engineer's estimate, right? Because then that's a risk.
There is that potential. I will say that we've been very conservative with the estimates. And if I do remember correctly, the sanitary bid did come in under scope, under budget considerably. So at this point in time, we would anticipate that potential. It's up to this board. If you do decide to table it until the next meeting, until the December 2nd meeting, that would be fine. But we do have to get things done at that December 2nd meeting because funds that are being used for this are ARPA money, and some of it is ARPA money, and that has to be put in position by the end of the year. So,
correct.
Or I guess allocated is the right word. Obligated. That's the right word. Obligated. Yeah.
Mr. Simmons, did I see you flip your light on? Do you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were messing.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought I saw you flip it on. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Johnson? I do know that we've had some issues with supply on a couple of other things too. It's just getting it in the pipeline and then getting it here has been difficult. It's gotten better, but you still tell me it's still quite difficult with certain items. So, Chris, with that, you can take a seat. I'll open it up for public comment. At this time, any public comment on this item? Any public comment?
Yeah. No.
Any public comment on this item? Okay.
Hello, Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street. If I may, so I don't eat up in my time, can I ask the superintendent from water 2 questions?
Sure.
Chris, did you seek any state funding for this project? Or a revolving loan on low interest for this project?
When this project was decided, the city itself is funding. And so at the time that we moved forward with the project, there was intention on utilizing funds from ARPA money that was allocated to the city. And then I believe there was some other funding as well from, I believe, the casino fund. And I'm not sure what other funds there were involved. That was determined otherwise. The Department of Water Works, since we aren't paying for the project, the funding was coming through the city. If the city had decided to go that route, they could have, but at the time there was plenty of ARPA money available to cover what was needed to be covered along with the other funds that were allocated.
So the simple answer is no from the administration or your department?
The Department of Water Works did not apply for any loan for this.
Was the cost brought down on this water main, running it by not running a loop system, by altering the original plan? Is that how that dropped $1 million?
The first change prior to the agreement being signed and agreed to by the Board of Works had already eliminated a loop in this particular project. Then there was additional reductions because there was review of the legal requirements that the city had to meet, and those legal requirements changed significantly the length of pipe that was needed for this project. So that's how this got reduced significantly.
Okay, thank you. For the board's knowledge, this project was approved by the city council in 2019. In those meetings that they had with the city council, I did my research over the last 4 years. There was no discussion of how to fund this project. So my thought is that they did not ask the developer to participate. They took it all on themselves without even knowing how much that cost was. I don't think that was very good for the city. Also, is that I believe that the developers should be brought into this to pay something on this project. So I'm just asking the board to take the recommendation and slow down and rethink this thing. Also, I want to make a comment that I was at the Board of Waterworks meeting when they had the MOU sitting in the audience, and I was never allowed to speak on it. I think that I don't know why And we're past those legal limits that the superintendent talked about, because you're supposed to deliver the service within 3 years. We're way past that. I think there's an abundance of opportunity here to cut our costs and apply those monies to areas of the city that need sewer and water fixes. Not an improvement in line, but fixes on their system. And there's one that I know of that's in the 2nd Ward back in when they did a study, because people's laterals kept breaking. So for the boards and for the public's knowledge, to this point, I believe that the intention of ARPA money was okay, but I don't know, it was a very small percentage of it spent on water and sewer for the good of the neighborhoods, not for a developer or a group of developers. So I'm just asking you to slow down and maybe have an executive session to talk about this amongst yourselves and with your legal staff to see what you can do to bring in the developers to help pay for this. This is not a fair shake for the city of Michigan City at all. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Any other public comments at this time?
Hello, Board. Scott Melantura, Kenwood Place. I have a few questions, which I know this isn't my comment will be in the form of questions. I'm interested in understanding if we're already delayed in our approval of this. It seems that time is somewhat of the essence. ARPA monies are evaporating and must be obligated by the end of the year, I believe. The department has already taken efforts to reduce the cost of the project. My questions are, just out of curiosity, what is the length of pipe we're laying? I mean, are we talking 1,000 feet, 4,000 feet? What material are we using? Are we using cast iron, or have we gone to plastic or whatever they use? And most importantly, how much potential development does this open up for the city in this annex by providing the water? But given that we're already apparently in violation of our legal obligation, it seems that we probably should approve this post haste. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments at this time? Any public comments at this time? I thought Don was getting up. Any other public comments? Okay, I'm going to close public comments at this time. What is the feeling of the board? Any other questions of Director Johnson from the board?
Motion to approve the recommended bid.
Second.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. Our next order of business is approval of job descriptions. The Human Resources Department is requesting the approval of updated job descriptions of office manager, essential services, office manager in the mayor's office, and the special events assistant director. Ms. George, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, board. What I have before you this afternoon are 3 job descriptions for approval. One is for the special events assistant director, office manager for central services, and office manager for the mayor's office. The decision to create these positions came after Mayor had a chance to study the daily operations of each department and come up with a plan to maybe streamline the operations of the department and to increase the efficiency. The special events assistant director, this position will assist the special events director with planning, coordinating, and executing the events within the city of Michigan City. Currently, the department is staffed by 2 individuals, and it was found that one person with limited ability, such as the administrative assistant in the position, wasn't helpful to the function of the department. There were times when the director was forced to work basically on his own because of the constraints of the position, where the administrative assistant had to be in the office and take care of things that way. So this person, the special events assistant director, will be able to assist the special events director with planning the events, attending meetings. He will have the authority to attend meetings that the special events director cannot attend. And he will also have the ability to make some decisions, of course, with making sure that the special events director approves those decisions. For the office manager and central services, this is a department that's currently undergoing some restructuring. So this particular position will be assisting the central services superintendent, and this person will also have responsibilities with day-to-day operations with that particular assigned department, as well as assisting with the operations of related departments in the division. The office manager for the mayor's office would also have the same responsibilities. It would be the same situation for that person as well.
Okay, any questions from the board for Ms. George?
Ms. George, on the special events position,
Yes, ma'am.
will there be times where this position might be in supervisory role as well?
Yes. We have 2 individuals, but during times when they have special events, they have volunteers, they have other subcontractors that come in to assist with our special events productions. So at times he will have supervisory responsibilities as well.
Any other questions of Ms. George from the board? Okay, hearing none, Ms. George, I'm going to open it up for public comment.
Of course.
Any public comment on these items? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll close it. Any further questions about this from the board, about these items? Or do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Hearing a motion, do I hear a second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Ms. George, for being here and bringing these to our attention.
Thank you, board.
Our next order of business is a memorandum of understanding. This memorandum of understanding is between the City of Michigan City and the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission for accounting services to be rendered by the Controller's Office. And I'm gonna start out by saying that they have been providing services to the Redevelopment Commission for quite a few years now. I think this is just a formal way of memorializing that and actually paying for the services. And with that, I'll hand it over to Attorney LePage to tell us a little bit about the memorandum and make sure that we're all good to go.
So the Redevelopment Commission and the Board of Works entered into a prior MOU for accounting services back in 2013. I believe the amount was, I think it was $2,500 or $3,500. Don't quote me on that. But this is the same MOU, just with an increase in the amount for that service to be $10,000.
Yes. Any questions from the board about this MOU? Any questions? Okay, hearing no questions, I'll open this up for public comment at this time. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Okay, any public comment? Hearing none, I'll close public comments. Any additional questions, or do I hear a motion from the board?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Support.
Hearing a second, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Let's see here. Next order of business is payrolls, the payroll claims docket for November 15th, 2024, city payroll. Do I hear a motion to approve the claims docket?
Motion to approve.
Your second,
Support.
call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is the claims docket for November 18th, 2024. I think you all had time to review that. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
and Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're into our next order of business is we're into our unfinished business pending items. The only thing that we have today to discuss was an item that was tabled from our August 19th, 2024, and it is a street enhancement. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting for the Board of Works to contact CSX Railroad for a projected start date to fix the railroad crossing at Woodland Ave. And I do believe, I talked to Mr. Tim Warner today, the city engineer. I do believe he's in attendance. Hopefully he is, but I think you may have a little something to say about that. Is he here, Amber? Or
He's coming.
okay. I can't see you, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be here, Skylar. Come on. Tim Warner, city engineer. I've contacted CSX multiple times early in August. They told us at that time that they will have it improved by the time the asphalt plants close this year. Well, that's kind of happening in a week or two, so it's unlikely that the Woodland Crossing is going to improve. I left a message with CSX's PM on all the other improvements of all of our crossings in town, and I've not received a call back. I don't really want to go over their head and call the senator's office, but I think Don has given me a number for one of the senator's aides that I will be talking to this week and see if they can help push us along, but it's not going to happen this year at this point.
Okay, thank you for the update. Any questions of Engineer Warner from the board? Seems pretty cut and dry.
No, I'd
Mr.
just
Simmons.
like to comment. I think this is very, very unfortunate that we are in this predicament because it isn't going to get done. The railroad have already given us their answer. I was out there this morning hoping that it would be done, but it isn't. And the conditions they're bad now, and we're expecting snow at the end of the week. It's going to get very, very hazardous, to be very blunt about it. Just unfortunate. We're going to have to live with this until spring, I feel.
And I couldn't agree more. I'm very disappointed that they haven't gotten this taken care of since we discussed it early August.
Yeah,
and I hope we can get some feedback from the police department as how severe this hazardous condition is out there at the crossing. Maybe we have to look at other alternative routes traveling north and south.
just because you commented that you don't necessarily want to go over their head, because I think there's repercussions for doing that, but could you?
Well, I felt like we had a relationship with this gentleman when I talked with him earlier this summer and towards the end. And that was the only real contact I had within CSX Corporation. So I'm going to lose that. Not that it's been an active relationship lately, but you know, if it's the only way we're going to get things done, is that's what we'll have to do, is go to Washington with the senator's office and see if they could push it from above rather than me trying to pull strings from below.
Yeah, but isn't this at the end of the asphalt season? Well, we said that at the meeting before, you know, the clock was ticking.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Reith Riley and Milestone Paving are both closing their plants just before Thanksgiving. So next week, basically, the end of the week.
Is there anything you think we can help with in any way, shape, or form?
Any conversations you can have with your representatives and senators and everything that could help. But at this point, it's not going to happen this year.
I think Councilman Przybylski can speak to that.
Councilman, would you like to add some words?
Yeah, City Councilman Don Przybylski. And let me go back a little bit in history when we had the issues with Ohio Street and Tilden Ave, and those crossings were falling apart. And eventually Mayor Perry at that time had Tilden Ave closed down because it was so unsafe. And so at that time, I reached out to the Senator Braun's office and brought, I forget his last name right now, but he still works for him. His name's Tony. And Tony came to town, took a look at the crossings, got a hold of the CSX, and they were here shortly after that, as soon as spring came around, and they fixed both the crossings. The U.S. Senate controls the railroads in the United States. Congress has nothing to do with the railroads. So talking to Tim, staying in contact with him, and I know he was trying to reach out to his contact at CSX, and I just thought I'd maybe try to give him a hand and get a hold of the senator's office, wait until after the election to see who's going to win what. And Senator Braun is now going to be the governor, so we'll have a new U.S. senator, but Tony is still going to probably be the contact here in Northwest Indiana. And he assured me that, you know, and he said, tell Tim to call him and they'll talk, get the information put together and get the railroad here in the spring. He says, trying to get anybody here before springtime probably is not going to happen. But to Mr. Simmons's point, what are we going to do in the meantime? Because now you're looking at 5 months before spring's going to be here and before the railroad's going to come out and take a look at it. So if I was the Board of Works, you know, reaching out for what should we do next is possibly talk to the police department, see what their take is on that crossing, whether it's safe or not. And if possible, you know, that crossing might have to be closed down and alternative routes made for people not to use that. That would be my recommendation right now. I don't travel that route day in and day out. I go over it maybe once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks to see how more is falling apart. And last time I went over it, it wasn't very good. Talking to Mr. Simmons before the meeting, he said the same thing. He traveled it this morning and it's getting worse and worse. So that's where we're at right now. We reached out to the U.S. Senate office, and as far as any recommendations for the Board of Works, you might want to call the police department, have them give them their recommendation on what the city should do. And the city engineer's here, he knows the right thing and the wrong thing for railroad crossings. So I'll leave it at that. It's up to the Board of Works and the city engineer. Thank you.
All right, no more comments right now. I haven't opened up for public comments. I haven't opened up for public comments yet. Yeah. I haven't opened it up for public comments yet. Yeah. Yeah. Ernie, give me a minute. Give me a minute.
We'll be back. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll open it up. I promise. I promise.
All right.
I promise. Tim, it's Tony Ferrero. I think that's his name. Anthony Ferrero.
Sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. That's who the contact was. Any other questions of from the board to Mr. I'm sorry, Engineer Warner?
Mr.
Warner, Engineer.
What's your recommendation, Tim?
Yeah.
What's your recommendation?
Absolutely.
My recommendation is to go with what Don indicated, is talk to the police and see if they can take a look at it and see what traffic hazards there may be with the crossing. I don't use that crossing very often either. I haven't been there in several weeks, so I'll check it out and see what it looks like from my perspective, but we want to see the police traffic engineer's perspective on the safety there at that crossing.
Okay.
Yeah, from my perspective, it would be hazardous for the snowplows to go over that crossing without doing some damage. Yeah, let's see what the police department say.
Yeah. Yeah, the belly plows are what kind of worries me the most, I'd say. So, okay, Tim, thank you so much for your comments. I'm going to close this section and open it for public comment. Ernie, you're up. Sorry about that.
I have been on this about as long as Don has been on it, and I made phone calls and complained. I complained at this meeting. I complained at city council meetings. I called the governor. Well, he wasn't the governor. I called the senator. And the number you have for that senator now, he informed me, it will be cut off. His cell phone will be cut off in December. So you won't be able to get him on that cell phone after December, because his cell phone will be turned off. Thank you.
Any other public comments at this time?
Yeah, hi, Scott Melanchon, Kendall Place. Perhaps it's pretty drastic to close a crossing. I've crossed it without problems myself. Perhaps other vehicles, large trucks, garbage trucks, buses have a harder time with it. Before we take the step of potentially closing it, how about a rough crossing sign be added to it, just to warn people that it's rough crossing, they might need to slow down? That is there? Oh, yeah. I guess we've done that. Sorry for wasting your time.
Any other public comments at this time?
Good evening, Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street. I would like to say that to facilitate this procedure in the future, that maybe we should think about spending some money wisely and buying concrete embedments for all of our railroad crossings in the city of Michigan City, and maybe that might facilitate getting these things done faster with cooperation with the different railroad entities, because Ohio Street is now getting degraded because they made asphalt, just an asphalt inlay in between the tracks. And when you have a road with a lot of traffic, I believe the best thing to do is use those concrete inserts, and they tie them down. The thing with Franklin Street, even in Wabash Street, we're already getting big wear patterns in them because they did not put in concrete inserts when they did that reconstruction, which I would think that I was kind of surprised they didn't, because where I enter in and out of the mill, South Shore put them in there. Okay. So you see, I think that Michigan City is always getting second fiddle. So I think that if we had the resources to accompany and help with reconstruction, that we would get it done faster. So I think that's something for you guys to look at or facilitate with the mayor to put money on the side for them concrete inserts. Thank you.
Any other public comments about this item?
Skylar, this is Amber. I did have one thing that I needed the board to address that's not on the agenda. Can I address it right now?
Sure. Do you want me to close public comments for this item though?
That's fine.
Let me close public comments for this. It sounds like Tim's made his recommendation. He's going to look into it. We probably need to just I guess keep this table till the next meeting, or to the next meeting in December, first meeting in December, see where we're at. Board, I'm looking at you guys. What do you think?
Yeah. Just keep it tabled.
I think it should be on the next meeting. The police department should have plenty of time to evaluate along with Tim.
Ms. Moore, do I hear a motion in that manner?
Yes, please. I'd like to make a motion to table until the first meeting in December.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Mrs. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business, Amber, I'm going to insert you in here because I do know that we have before official public comment, I do know that we have an item that came in that we actually do need to take action on. It needs to be timely done.
So this matter is for Singing Sands Trail. This is the third phase of it. It's an acquisition issue. And the issue why it needs to be timely done is the owner is waiting on this to then turn around and sell their property, and they have a closing. So they wanted to tie this loose end before they transfer their property, which is supposed to be closed this Friday. So this would be to acquire parcel 24 and 24A. That would be from a Joshua Robert Bonham and a Dana Michelle Cook. The amount of it would be $7,050. Miss Eason couldn't be here tonight and asked if I could cover this for her real quickly. She did advise that we do have the funding for it as well.
Yes. Any questions of Attorney LePage? This is a continuation of buying right-of-way, purchasing right-of-way for our Singing Sands Trail so that we can be prepared when the construction money comes out. Any other questions about this item? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll open up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Going once. All right, and we'll close public comment. You heard from Attorney LePage. This is a timely item. We're actually purchasing land constantly right now, and sometimes they have to be done pretty quickly because of situations similar to this. Do I hear a motion from the board on this, or do you have any questions? Is there a second?
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Mrs. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. We'll get this done. Our next order of business is official public comment. Is there any public comment at this time?
Yeah, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I'm happy to see we got some orders to demolish here on the agenda, and I hope we get some more. I assume these properties didn't sell on the last tax sale. That's probably why they're going to be demolished. They had their last compost pickup this week. My compost pickup's always on Friday, and I know they closed. They won't let the residents take their excess compost to Hitchcock Street anymore. I'd like to maybe have to ask the mayor if she would maybe like one day a week, like on a Monday, and let the residents take their compost out to Hitchcock Street. I know that Mr. Carter, he said he's going to establish a place where we can take our compost. I know in LaPorte, he's got it really well organized. Vince Sherman's the guy that runs it. He's got one pile, one brush pile, you can take your brush, and one pile you put all your leaves and grass. But, like to say, there will be another, probably gonna be the last execution they're gonna have at the prison. They're gonna execute a guy on, an inmate on December 18th. Yeah, I wanna mention that. I wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. And, like I said about these railroads, they just don't care about it. If this was a rich people's city, they'd had that done a long time ago. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yes, Ernie Holohan. Oops. One comment I have is several months past, I went around town and documented all the gutters that are plugged, completely plugged. And there's one on Barker that's been plugged for probably a year or so. I documented all of them. I took them to the refuge sanitation department, presented it to the lady at the desk, and there has been no results from it yet. And like I said, it's been months since I've done that. And these gutters are completely plugged. They will not let the water go down. It just builds up on the streets, which is not safe. If you could possibly look into that, I'd appreciate it. I brought it up at the city council meeting. Now I'm bringing it up to you because nothing seems to be getting done. And it's sad. Thank you.
Any other public comments at this time?
Let that lady go. She hasn't said anything on that.
I'll say something. Good evening, board. My name is Minister Lisa Jackson. I'm the interim pastor of God's Grace Deliverance, located at 301 East Barker Ave. Our pastors unfortunately had some serious medical issues, and I was there to step into the helm. We've been working on the building as far as gaining quotes. And there is a bulge in the wall that has been a concern of the city, and we understand that. We contacted several foundation specialists. They've been very slow to respond. I'd say we contacted maybe 5 to 7, and maybe out of 7, 2 responded. We finally did get a contract with one on November 5th. We notified the city, excuse me, I'm a little bit nervous. We notified the city that we're in the process of reviewing the contract. We're close, and at that point, at that juncture, we find out that we also need masonry, which is 2 separate contracts. So we notified the city on late October, November 5th. We thought it was so urgent that we came out. We all decided we're going to come before we vote to go over the building one more time, contract and all that, November 5th. So that's Tuesday. Friday night, I learned from a city official that the city had removed the gas meter, suggested turning the water off, and slating the church for to be condemned. So I was kind of outdone because we didn't have time to plan for this. And I explained that we do have a contract. We have a masonry coming. Actually, it came Friday. So what, I'm not sure, like we haven't received an official notice, received a text, but nothing official in writing. So from my previous years with the Indiana State Board of Accounts, there is someplace an official document explaining the process for declaring a building to be unsafe. And we need to do that. We want to be in compliance. What we need is, number one, to obtain that list of that process of what the process is of declaring a building to be unsafe. And number two, if we can proceed, we have a masonry who's just called me a few minutes ago. We're asking him to expedite it so he can start on the wall. Our thought was start on the foundation and then address the wall. But since the walls are concerned, we asked him to start his work on the wall as early as this week, and he said he could have a couple of people maybe next week. I'm not quite sure. I don't want my members to invest thousands in the church, and we want to keep our church. We want to keep our church, but not under the threat of investing thousands to come out on a Monday and there's a bulldozer ready to lay the property down. I mean, I would expect it more of a warning, and that's okay. City did what they have to do. I understand that. Neighbors are concerned. Ms. Transky lives nearby. I totally get it. I get it. But just to let you know that we are working on that. It's on our radar. We have a masonry coming. And so that's what we need. We kind of need a clear and concise process of how the city determines a building to be unsafe, number one. And number two, if we present a timeline, would the city be willing to work with us? Now, the caveat is we also met with the Historic Preservation. And as we suspected, and thank you for bringing this to our attention, this is the first Scandinavian church in Michigan City, which leads us to the possibility of an historic site or a nomination for an historic site, which opens up funding. And what we thought would be nice if we could restore this building and then give tours to the children on when there's the study of religion and to just give them a sense of being. So it has a very good chance of being an historic site. And so if you could provide me with information on where I should go to get information on how the city, what factors are involved, what timeline is involved. I was told once I received the notice that I have 30 days to respond or somewhere along those lines. We have yet to receive a notice. And I have my masoneries coming probably Wednesday of this week. So I'll leave my contact information.
Just a question, ma'am, when were the utilities turned off? You said Friday. Was it this last Friday? So it would have been.
It was that election day. So November 5th, we talked with the contractor, signed the contract. So that's Tuesday. So that following Friday night, we rode by the church and we thought, wow, the meter's gone.
So it would have been the 8th?
Yes,
November. Okay.
around the 8th.
And the
And then there
address
were
again of the
barricades.
church is, what was it again? The address of the church?
301 East Barker Ave.
Thank you.
And we were told at that point, do not enter the church. We had the contractor in, and on the 5th, and they, I mean, they didn't think it was that unsafe that they brought their equipment inside the church in the basement, and we worked out the contract in the basement. If it were that unsafe, I would have thought that they would have taken precaution not to even enter the building. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm not understanding the harsh or the extent to which the city went. But I do understand your concern for safety, and we want to be in compliance. That's all I'm here for information. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I know.
Yeah, Kathy, you wanna? Good afternoon, Board. City Councilman Don Perbolinski, 215 Gardena Street. And I was contacted by Mrs. Stransky here that lives across the street from the church that the lady was speaking about. And my concern and my presence here today is for the safety of the neighborhood and the safety of the children and what the process is, that if the church is going to be repaired, that's fine. If the church is not going to be repaired, you know, which direction the city's going to go. And just like the lovely lady spoke, you know, she's looking for direction on which way to go with the building and what she has to do. So I think once that gets cleared up, then they'll know what to do and whether they're going to repair the church or not repaired. There is concern along that York Street side with the big bow. And I mean a big bow in the side. And I think even on some other pieces of the structure of the church, there's also some questionable parts to it. And I'm not telling anyone how to run their church or how to maintain their buildings. I'm just looking at this as public safety issue, me being a city councilman. The other thing is, I know that the barricades have been put up around the church, and there's even been these big orange barricades that have been put up in the last week or 2 weeks to keep the children from walking inside the other barricades, I'm assuming, to keep them away from the church. So that even brings more warrant that this is unsafe. Mrs. Stransky brought it to my attention that she had spoken to the crossing guard at Marsh School, who patrols the corner on York and Barker Ave, that the children, you know, she guides them across the street on Barker Ave, but they're still on the east side of the street walking along the barricades. Okay, so they're out in the street walking south to the next street. I think that's Fulton Street. Instead of directing them to the west across York Street and then south across Barker. And then there's a sidewalk that goes down York Street. So I guess that's one of the issues that we'd also like to get straightened out for the safety of the school children. And I don't know exactly who takes care of the crossing guards. Is that the chief of police or the head of the traffic division, the board of works? Could they send a letter to the chief of police and see if we could get this corrected so that the children are guided in the correct manner? So those are my concerns with the church, and I'm here speaking for the neighbors of the neighborhood to we get this resolved, whether it's be safety, the church gets fixed up, or whatever they have to do to move on. Want to say anything, Kathy?
Kathy Stransky, 223 East Barker Ave. I have been a neighbor to that church for almost 60 years. I too have feelings for that church. I have seen many weddings, and I've seen all kinds of things. I like the church, but the church is dangerous at this point for the neighbors and the children. If you go to the other side of the church, the staircase is pulling away from the building, and that too is a child attraction. And you know that because the game will be to go up them stairs and come down them stairs without falling off. Okay, so that bothers me too. It's just the whole thing needs to be barricaded somehow so that we can keep the kids away from that church. Adults aren't going to go near it. But I have a grade school across the street, Marsh School, and those kids are kids. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments at this time? Any other public comment?
Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street. I wanted to have some additional put in on the railroad crossings. When they repair those railroad crossings, they don't take into consideration that a lot of people don't know why railroads are at a higher level than your ground level, because they always put them in at sea level grade to reduce flooding. That's why them railroad tracks are so high through that whole area, because that's partial floodplain in there. But when the approach and the egress, or whatever we want to call it, when you hit those tracks, when they raise those tracks, because the street's always moving, is they don't change. They only do a strip about maybe a foot wide. So when you hit them, or when you're going down the street, you got a real bump there. not only having rough railroad tracks, but like Ohio Street, it's still rough. You know, and you know, when you get down by Franklin, because it's kind of low right there, it's like in a valley, it levels out. But if you go to Tilden and you go down to Carroll, you got the same issue. And if you go down to what is it? Down by the 5th Ward. You got Carroll Ave and no. Well, anyway, every crossing that happens, then it actually is lifted up because they tamp it in and they bring it up to that sea level grade. So that's one concern I have when you look at the crossings, is that we look at that too, that we put extra paving in there to keep it, you know. I don't want to see people flying through there and think they're Evel Knievel, all right? Don't take that the wrong way. But it is a rough ride. So when you got that rough ride, you could break something on your front end or whatever. But I will say this, and I want to say this publicly. Last Friday, I was involved with almost a major catastrophe at Tilden Ave and Cool Spring. I approached the intersection. I stopped. It was right at dusk where it was dark, was moving in, you know, that twilight zone. And there was no cars coming from the west, nothing from the east. So I engaged in making my left-hand turn. Before I was in to the southbound lane, there was a little Ford that zoomed by me, had to be going very fast, like 50 miles an hour. And I saw the blur out of my peripheral and I stopped right away. And if that individually went up on the easement there, I'm telling you that I believe more research needs to be done on that intersection. It's just like when we had a problem at St. Stan's when they didn't want to put a stop sign up there. We got to be looking at kids. I don't care if it's one child, one guy, one person walking in there and they get hit. It could happen. So when that person's gone, isn't it our responsibility for public safety in the long run? And we moved a stop sign down for no planning for the traffic on Cleveland Ave when they incorporated and made Cleveland Ave a thoroughfare. I think that you guys need to revisit it and do what's best for the public. You know, I really do. Absolutely. And one thing I will say that, yes, I understand the problem at 301 Barker Ave. All the utilities have been turned off. I called the fire marshal. The fire marshal tells me that it's, and I understand, I'm not trying to, we got problems there. And I don't know how long you're gonna let them go, because I'm gonna go over there on a stormy night and listen to the building. Kathy was telling me it's creaking. I can believe that, you know, because you got to understand masonry. It's a masonry building. When you get big enough cracks, it'll stress itself and it'll go. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment at all?
Just let me reiterate, maybe I didn't reiterate. We are concerned with safety as is all of you all. We have been meeting with contractors. We met with the masonry regarding not only the wall, but also the steps. Many of you have known Pastor Jack for years. He was the previous pastor, and none of this was brought to his attention until a new leader, which is myself, steps to the helm, and that's okay. We're going to deal with it. But I am asking, how do we make sure we're in compliance with the city and at the same time allow us the opportunity to address the repairs. They are manageable. We wouldn't have we wouldn't have a contract. Here's our contract.
Ma'am, can I just interject?
So
real quick?
they're manageable. So I just want to address that.
So
Thank you.
just let me answer your question real quick.
Uh-huh.
So if any orders are gonna be issued, they're gonna have to come from the building inspector or the fire marshal.
Okay.
So as I was sitting here, I just sent emails to them to make sure,
Okay.
because I haven't seen them, did they get you the order?
Neither of us.
So that would be the individuals that will need to speak to right now.
Okay, what were the?
Either the fire marshal or the building inspector.
Okay.
One of those two is gonna have to issue you your orders.
Okay, all righty. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public comment at this time? Hearing none.
There's one more.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, my name is Stephen Wrightsell. I'm not for sure I'm supposed to be here right now. Okay. For record, can I ask, is this Common Council Chambers? Okay.
Is this for a demolition, sir?
For demolition.
Okay, hold tight. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
But do you have any other public comments? But we're gonna get there or not?
Can I do one public comment for safety reasons on my own as a resident of Michigan City? As you guys talking about railroad on Woodland Crossing, my transportation is bicycle, been bicycle for many years. I do not own a vehicle, okay? I have come across that railroad site plenty of times over the years and stuff, and a lot this year too. I ride it Woodland Avenue plenty of times there, okay? For my safety on that railroad crossing there, if I can just state, okay, is not very good for me as a bicycle rider on safety for that because of the conditions of that railroad track. I cannot go on the side of the railroad track to cross on my bicycle if I'm heading towards Cool Spring, okay? I have to get to the middle, which puts me out to traffic, okay? And coming from Cool Spring, if I'm coming back toward, I think it would be the north or whatever, okay? On that end there is kind of all right for bicycle. I can get across there. It's still rough. So I want to take on consideration to other people like me that ride bicycles or even motorcycles, okay, that come to that railroad crossing to know that safety procedures have to be done to that for safety of residents of Michigan City like me, bicycle and motorcycles. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of other people are concerned about that like I am. Okay, if anything could be done, I just want to make a statement on that. Okay.
Thank you. Scott, please be quick.
I might be the last one, Skylar. Scott Melantor, Kenwood Place. I've got a good news, bad news situation. Which do you want first? I'll start with the bad news. Thanks for fixing the fence in Myers Drive. Unfortunately, I have to report it's been struck again and damaged. I think this is the third or fourth time it's been damaged since that fence has been put up. Unfortunately, not to pick on the director of planning, he's already heard me say this in another meeting. The solution works for catching garbage. Vector Control says it's very helpful in their job. It's doing what it's intended to do. I don't think this is a good solution. I don't know what a better solution is, but I think we need to think of something better than having a fence that is continually getting damaged and costing the city to fix it. That's the bad news. The good news is I'd like to bring to everybody's attention some good work the city has done concerning, I don't know the official name of the Swing Bridge lift station. What's that called, Skylar?
Do you mean the Lake Ave lift station?
Lake Avenue lift station. This is a new lift station being installed. It's got unique financing. It's using what's called a RIF grant, which is an intergovernmental loan between the city of Michigan City and a state department. We're getting below market rate interest rate on that of 2.6% approximately. This is a 20-year note that we're going to be on a 16-year schedule of prepayment. That alone is going to save the city around $500,000 in total payments. Many city departments were involved in this, from planning to the legal department to donation of land that I think Director York was an important part of, that gives us a link from the new lift station for the new lateral sewer to the treatment plant. Time was also of the essence on this because there's a deadline at the end of the year for this to be granted. So we had great interdepartmental cooperation, again, of multiple, at least 4 or 5 city departments to get this done. It's using a new financing program that is nothing but beneficial. It's solely funded through TIF money. No no tax money is pledged to this loan. Again, it's at a below market rate of 2.6%. It fixes a problem of the B&E sewer that's come before this board before. There's an alarm there. There's 3 sewer lines that come together for this Lake Avenue area at the swing bridge. This separates them. It fixes an existing problem at a below market rate, and it opens up development to the east by increasing our sewer capacity to allow for the further development to the east of Trail Creek. So it's nothing but a win, and I wanted to bring attention since you hear so many negative things. I think a true positive and an example of how this administration is working hard to make improvements. And I think this came before this board, so you're one of those intergovernmental departments, I believe, that was involved, as well as the Common Council. I think they also approved this, and it's moving along, and I think that's just, again, a good example of good governance, and I thank you.
Tyler? Just one comment.
Being very quick.
Just one comment, and I'll be very quick. That the contact to the police department for the crossing guards, who's going to do that? Is the Board of Works going to do that? Or Amber, can you follow up with whoever has to do that?
I already sent it.
Thank you. I just want to make sure these things are getting done. We talk about them, but you know, you have to assign people and dates and times to get things done. And then the police department and the city engineer are going to go back and look at Tilden Ave and report back to the Board of Works at the next meeting, correct?
It's on our agenda.
That's what was approved.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure it's on the agenda for the next meeting. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to close public comment. I'm closing public. I'm closing public.
This is information. I'm not complaining.
No. All right. One more comment. Be very quick.
Okay. Information.
Very quick.
Ernie's talking about plug sewers. I don't exactly know where he's at. I'll ask him for the list, but I want to let you know that the previous, not the previous administration, but the Muir administration plugged a bunch of sewers in the 5th Ward to reduce flow to the plant. And I found out about that because of the flood we had on Michigan Boulevard about 3 years ago. I don't know if people remember it. Skylar, you remember that?
I do remember it, Paul.
Okay.
Be quick.
Oh, I questioned about it. I don't know what you found out about it, but that's what you got with what's going on in this city. All right. And those people need to have their sewers because they're combined sewers. They need to have those things addressed. And that would have been a good place for ARP money. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I'm going to close public comment because we have to move on to our demolition hearings. So this time, I'm closing public comment. Amber, what do we need to do officially to open up our demolition hearings?
So Chris, you're ready, correct? She's coming to the front. Mr. Reitzel, Vanderbilt, are there any other individuals here for demo hearings? I know Mr. Reitzel, could you please do his first?
Amber, could I ask the board, do we need a break? Real quick break? Anyone? Y'all good? Anybody? Y'all good? Okay. Sorry.
No one needs a break?
Absolutely. Okay. Just making sure.
Chris, before I set the record here, is Mr. Reitzel's any kind of agreement? No, okay. Okay. And which one do you plan on doing first? 904 Elston. Okay, so just let me set the record real quick, Skylar.
Yep, absolutely.
We're here in the matter of 4 demolition hearings set for today. Each will be conducted as a separate hearing. The first one will be 904 Elston Street, Michigan City, Indiana. Christine Vanderbar, on behalf of the Michigan City Planning Department, appears on behalf of the city. Mr. Reitzel, correct? Stephen Reitzel, who is the owner of 904 Elston Street, appears as well. So, Ms. Vanderbilt, I'll turn the floor over to you regarding 904 Elston Street. Just as a refresher for this board, the issue in front of this board, Ms. Vanderbilt has issued an order to demolish. The issue in front of this board, because we have to have a hearing on it, is whether or not this board will affirm this order. This board could modify this order and grant additional time for the individual to come in compliance, or this board could disagree with the order she issued and order it vacated.
Good afternoon, board.
Before you start, do you affirm and swear under the pains and penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Afternoon, Christine Vanborg with the City of Michigan City Code Enforcement. I am here today to seek demolition order for 904 Elston Street. As you see, I provide you guys packets with a timeline. The last photo taken of this property was last Friday, November 14th. The code violations are as follows: 22-424, condition of windows, exterior doors, basement hatchways; 22-398, stairways and porches; 22-453, floors, walls, and roofs; Section 5860, accumulation of refuse or other materials; and 304.2, protective treatments. There have been several notices sent out for this property. From 2016, vacant property registration; 27 vacant property registration; 2018, order to repair sent to the old owner of Tanner; 2023, an order to repair sent to the now owner Reitzel. Then a notice of order and to demolish 9/13/24. Notice of hearing on order to demolish 9/13/24. Everything's been posted in the LaPorte County Herald as of November 6th and November 13th. As far as the condition of the house, as you can see in the pictures, it's missing 50% of the roof. We have trusses exposed to the elements. The garage is dilapidated. The condition of the house is poor. Basically, my opinion of the house is that we need to have it demolished.
And just for the record, you did present the board with your affidavit of service, showing that you have complied with all the proper service measures, and Mr. Reitzel is in fact here because of it.
Correct. I sent everything via certified letter, and I've in the notice of hearing order demolish, you'll see who was contacted with a certified letter receipt, along with vector control and all others who had interest. As my affidavit, which will be signed later this evening, states that everything was sent and returned back. Majority, 95% of my certified letters were returned back. Same with most of my regular sent letters. So I did do my due diligence to contact the owner.
Does the board have any questions?
Chris, how long? Can you give us a time frame of how long this house has been in your just for the public record or for the public knowledge? How long have you been working on this case?
There's been a group effort working on this case since 2016 that I can see in our files, beginning with a vacant property registration with no replies, all the way up to a couple of different order to repairs with no replies to those. The first order of repair was issued to the original owner, last name of Tanner. The second order to repair was issued last year to Mr. Reitzel with no compliance.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Is anybody living in this house right now?
Not that I'm aware of.
So it says the water's been off since 2014?
Yeah, water has been off since 2014. NIPSCO had turned off the gas 2016. Electricity, same year, 2016.
Mr. Reitzel, do you have any questions of Ms. Vanderburg?
Yeah, I'd like to,
Can you come to a microphone, please?
sorry. I'm just here today because of this letter right here.
Did you have questions for her? We'll give you a chance to speak, but do you have questions for her right now?
Oh, okay. The fact that you send stuff out to me, do you have the address where you sent? I'd like to know the address. Cause what you're telling them, that you sent stuff out and I haven't received nothing except for this here.
And what address was that sent to?
This was sent to, I received this at, 715 West 4th Street, which is current on my state ID, okay? I'll admit that. I no longer reside at that address though, okay? Right now I'm currently living in a motel because I'm homeless, but other than that, that's just fault on me, okay? And for what you're saying that you sent out to me, I haven't received anything from any location whatsoever.
Okay, so.
Except for this.
Okay. So for the record, name a person of whom the order was issued, Stephen Reitzel, 904 Elson Street, certified leather 9589 0710 5270 0957 4260-59. Stephen Reitzel, 715 West 4th Street, certified letter receipt 9589 0710 5270 0957 4246-97. Stephen Reitzel at 2323 Normandy Drive, 3C, Michigan City, Indiana. Certified receipt 9589 0710 5270 0957 4247-03. And the same was sent regular mail as well to all three of those addresses.
Mr. Reisel, any other questions of Ms. Vanderburg? And I believe you would like to testify, so if you could raise your right hand, please, sir, and I'll swear you in under oath. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
The truth, nothing but the truth.
Thank you, sir. Please state your name and your address. I think you said you're homeless, but where would you like mail to be sent?
I'm currently going to be moving into a location towards the end of next week, which will be Cool Spring Estates. Okay, I don't necessarily have that address as of right now because I'm not currently there just yet. I will be there at the end of next week for sure, between the 20th and the 26th.
All right, so do you have that address so I can send you mail if we need to?
The address that I currently been using because I'm homeless is 221 Dixon, South Dixon Street, Michigan City, Indiana, which that would be my cousin's residence that he owns. I want to state I'm Stephen Reitzel and not Wayne Reitzel, okay?
And your cousin's name, just so I have that care of?
Wayne Reitzel.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
People get us confused sometimes, all right? But, so what I am asking today is to be able to appeal this request for the fact where I've been in financial hardship over the last 2 years. I got my house in 2020, December 2020 on a county tax sale, paid $5,000 for it, okay? I was currently doing work on the inside as to complete tear out, clean out and stuff through the rest of 2020 and into 2021. And doing what I could on clean out stuff. The one side of the roof would be 10th Street side is missing because I tore that out. It had partial roof there at one time when I first got the residence, And then I went and I tore all that out. And then coming into the end of 2021 to 2022 with inflation and all that, and me losing my job at Blue Chip Casino because of the pandemic and everything, I ended up taking on other jobs like at Denny's and McDonald's, where I was not currently making enough money an hour to be able to make a living for myself, plus be able to put money into my residence at 904 Elston. And I've been trying to get myself out of this financial hardship that I'm in due to the fact of 715 West 4th Street was not a very good residence that I was renting from, and my NIPSCO bills during the winter months at that residence when I was there was ranging from $700 to $1,000, just because the furnace couldn't keep up with that house. Okay, so that's one of the main reasons there why I'm financially unfit right now, due to the fact to Denny's and McDonald's are not making enough money hourly. So I've been at Myers now for 2 years. Okay, October 21st of 2024 was 2 years at Myers. And I wanted to get a 401k loan, and that's what I was going to use to be able to continue doing stuff for my resident 904 Elston, but I haven't got enough invested to get that 401k loan. I'm looking at maybe 2-3 more months, I'm thinking, for a 401k loan from Myers. I'm not currently in a situation right now to where where I can be able to put money into my house as of right now. I've been at my residence at 904 Elston Street plenty of times. I look over it best I can. People I see on the property, I tell them that they can't be there, and try to do my best to make sure that the residents and the community around there is safe. Okay, I've been in the house a lot of times. You can actually walk through my house, and the parts of the house where the floors are bad, you could visually see yourself. So any part that you visually see that is not bad, you can actually go in and walk in and will not have to worry about getting injured or anything like that. The structure and all that, I just want to make a point that the structure and all that inside is still good. Okay? Now, for my appeal, and the reason why I want to appeal is because the fact is that over the last several years, I personally have not been contacted by like verbally, face to face or anything by city. Okay, nobody's come to 904 Elston Street when I'm there or anything to front me about the conditions of my property or anything like that. Okay, and I feel that I needed to know more information from what city sees. Okay, they're just seeing a property that is vacant, no good, needs to be tore down or whatever. I still have plans, okay, to be able to put money in to fix it up, because that was my whole goal from the get-go, is to fix it up and be able to move in and live in it and stuff, which I haven't been able to do. I've had several contacts for the property to buy. The most recent gentleman that wanted to buy it or whatever, he found out that it was going to be demolished, so he decided he didn't want to go into efforts with that. Okay, and I just was asking for the appeal so then I could get more time or whatever, so I can get this money to be able to start doing work on it. Okay, I'm still struggling financially as of right now, but I've been doing what I can to work myself out of that.
Thank you, sir. Any members of the board have any questions? Are you gonna bring any questions?
Could I ask one? I'm so sorry. What was your name again? One more time. Last name?
Stephen Wrightsell.
Mr. Wrightsell, have you had like any, I mean, this house is in significant need of repair. I mean, do you have any idea of magnitude of cost for something on the scale of this house? I mean, I've seen the pictures of it, and we don't take these items lightly, trust me. But do you have any costs, or have you done any costs on what something like this is going to cost to fix? And that's my question. Is there any ideas?
To give you answer on your question, I looked into repair on the whole roof itself, and I'm looking at I'm thinking about $4,000 to $5,000 for the roof, for material costs and stuff like that. Okay, and I want to state that I have people that help me out too, so I can get some stuff too. Okay, so to where I don't have to pay for it. Okay, the thing of it is I want to be able to fix the house, you know, and get it all fixed all the way through and to where I want to live in and stuff. Okay, I understand that there's costs, and I'm willing to put money into that. Okay, financial hardship of what I've been going through for the last 2 years, so I haven't had the money to do it. And that's what I've been trying to work for, to being able to do. And I am being blocked. Okay, I'm done with this demolish now, and I gotta pay $2,300 because it just went to the tax sale because I couldn't pay property tax on it because I didn't have the money to pay property tax on it. Okay, so I'm getting into these steps here to where it's forcing me to not be able to do anything with 904 Elston.
Anything else, sir?
And I want to state one more thing for the record. Okay, I'm currently looking into a lawyer. Okay, I don't have a lawyer just yet, but I'm currently looking to a lawyer because there's other properties and within a half mile of my property that are in worse condition and everything too. Okay, and I don't know if Christine has dealt with them owners or whatever. Okay, I don't know. Okay, but I'm just saying that I feel that I'm being picked on. Okay, that's just what I feel. Okay, and I understand the condition of my house too. Okay, I do understand all that, but for me to go on through this, I wasn't served any court date for the demolish or anything. Okay, and I was never served any warrants. Okay, and on the actions of orders on requires. Okay, there's a few in here that okay, impaired structural condition that makes it unsafe to personal property. The only person that goes on that property is me. Nobody else is allowed on that property. I have no trespassing signs posted and all that, and and when I do see people next to property or whatever, I inform them automatically that I do not want them on property because of the condition of the house and stuff, and I don't want to see nobody get hurt on that. Okay, but then the fire hazard thing, I'm not understanding the fire hazard. maybe because of I have overgrown around the house where there's trees and bushes that I haven't been able to cut down as of yet, so they get out of control. Sometimes I've been doing what I can to keep the yard maintained pretty good as cut and try to keep a lot of the trash out by the road and all that picked up best I can. On fire hazard, I don't know if there's a confusion here or not. I'm just gonna state this, the property next door to me at 904 Elston Street, Laporte, Humanity or whatever, what their name is, I don't know the name, okay? Their, property there, their grass and stuff hasn't been taken care of for the whole entire 2024, what I know. And the grass is up to my waist and stuff there. And I just want to state up a fire hazard, would that be a fire hazard too? Because
So this isn't a question of the board. This is, it's you presenting relevant information as to why your structure should not be demolished.
Well, that's what I was trying to go into with this here, because there's stuff on the actions on here that are stated, okay? And I'm just not understanding that.
Okay, any other testimony you'd like to provide the board?
I just wanted to get a pill on it or whatever, and if I have to pay for court costs, I pay for court costs.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The board at this point could take it under advisement or render a decision, either affirming the order, modifying the order, or vacating the order, or we could take it under advisement. So I'll leave it up to the board.
Thoughts of the board? Questions of Ms. Vanderborg?
Skylar?
Yes.
So I don't have a question necessarily of Christine, but just listening to Mr. Wrightsell, looking at the condition of the house, and not having any quotes or knowing exactly the cost of what the work would be that he wants to have done. And by his own testimony that financially he's struggling right now. This is a huge safety issue. And I don't know, I did have a question. I'm sorry, Mr. Rice, did the house look like this when you bought it off the tax sale?
Sir, can you come to the microphone?
I'm
please?
sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Don't apologize. Yep, good question.
When I currently purchased my house through the tax sale, it had walls, insulation, ceiling floors, and partial, the majority of all the roof was pretty good on it. I was told by residents there that there was holes in the roof because of the fire department doing training on it or something. That's what I was told from residents. I have no, okay, I don't know. But I just stating what people told me around the area there. Okay.
So it didn't look like that when you purchased it.
Yeah. I tore out the 10th Street side of the roof was all missing. That had partial like roof on it. I tore all that out on my own. And I did a complete tear out of the whole inside of everything, the walls, insulation, and all the furniture and stuff. I had a dumpster for that back in 2021 through Waste Management, but I was no longer to be able to pay for that no more, so I had to drop that. And that was one of the main reasons right there why I couldn't continue on with doing stuff for my house on 904 Elston.
Okay, thank you.
Just so you know as well, as far as staying the record, there have no permits been pulled on this property, so the roof was removed illegally. There was a demolition being done in 2021. And yes, you and I did meet at your property on 2021 with Derek Hutton Kenzie, the other code enforcement officer, where I was told to stay off your property. because I was inquiring about the dumpster that was on the property at the time and why there were no permits.
Say, I would agree with Miss Smith. I drive by this property every day. It is in horrendous condition. School buses let off right there. There's school-aged children wandering around every afternoon. And as we talked about earlier this meeting, children do children things. And again, I drive by this property twice a day, every day. I've never seen any change on it or any effort made to upkeep. So I make a motion to uphold Ms. Vanderbilt's ruling and proceed with demolition.
Second.
Here in a first and a second, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Mr. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
And Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Ms. Vanderborg, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
What's the next one you want to do? I'm sorry, which one?
408
Okay, so the next one will be on 408 West 8th Street.
408 West
11th. Okay, so that's a typo on the agenda. Okay, so it's 408 West 11th Street. Is anybody here for 408 West 11th Street?
I was wondering about that one.
Okay, 408 West 11th.
11th Street, yes.
So Mr. Burns had contacted me today with a plan of action for his property. I will submit the paperwork and his plan of action, and pending on the board's decision, depending if we basically postpone this until March 1st. He says he'll have a lot of work done on the property along with permits pulled and everything else, but I'll send you the information here real quick.
So just stop real quick. Are you asking for this board to continue this hearing then until?
I am asking the board to continue till March 1st, or at least till whatever the first March date is.
Ms. Vanderborg, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Have you had time to review what's been presented to you? And do you feel that what you've been presented is somewhat viable to get this back into a condition that's livable?
He gave me a draft of a GAF report, and he also gave me a plan for 408 West 11th renovation proposal. He's willing to invest $100,000 into this property to make it back to a 2-unit that it is right now. Yes, the property can be renovated. It's ugly right now, but I'd rather see someone probably invest the money into bringing the house up.
Do we have photos of the present condition of the house?
We do.
Can we view them?
Yep.
Good question. Mr. Vanderborg, I wasn't trying to second guess you. I just want to make sure that you get what you need.
Look like the same house.
He's having very impressive. Okay.
That's the point.
So just so I'm clear, right now you're making a motion in front of this board to continue this until the first meeting in March, which would be the March 3rd, 2025?
Correct.
And so you gave the board the research whether or not they're going to grant that continuance.
Correct. I will say he did clean up I don't have any before pictures of the property, but the property was pretty well trashed out. He did spend money on cleaning out the house and cleaning around the property so it didn't look as bad as it does. He has boarded up the property, put notices on the doors because people kept kicking it in. Sue Downs and I walked through the property on November 4th to kind of verify what's going on inside the house to see if it was a viable property. It is remodelable. It can be brought back to life. He's willing to register as a contractor along with his son. They will be hiring contractors as far as electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. It will be all need that.
I might add, there's probably some saving factors on this. It has a roof. That's typically the first thing that saves a house is the roof. Once they're gone, it's goner pretty much.
He's been responsive. If someone kicks in a door, I usually call him. He comes within 24 hours to board it up again. After the 5th time, he decided to put a notice on a door stating that it's empty. There's nothing left.
So when you say till March, is that what's the expectation in March?
Yeah.
Expectation of March is actually to the point of he should have windows, demolition done inside, drywall, and electrical, plumbing updates, and HVAC.
Have you spoke to Sue about any of it? Do you think that's doable by March?
I'm willing to work with them, but he sounds pretty ambitious. He's
pretty ambitious. That's a lot.
Yeah, he's pretty ambitious. He's, like I said, he's already got it cleaned out. He's been at for less than a month as far as cleaning it out and everything. Like I said, he's pretty much got detailed. He said, phase 1 was to clean it out, which he's already performed that. He's going to do the exterior porch, windows and roofing, eaves and rear enclosure. And then the phase 3 is mechanicals. Okay. So
am I seeing this properly? And I don't know, when did he actually purchase the property?
He purchased it actually, the sale was in
July?
No. Let me get that for you. Yikes. He recently just purchased it. He purchased it in a tax sale.
Can you give us a date?
I apologize for whatever reason Beacon is not showing. Let me go ahead and get that for you.
The only thing I see is the last transfer of records. Yeah. July 31st. Yeah,
it went from one tax deed to another. And let me get you a date here.
Yeah, that's just.
I have a transfer date here of
8/20 and 20.
March 4th, 2024 on Beacon.
Yes, and then a transfer to 8/20/2024. And then it transferred again on 9/5/2024. That's when he bought it for the amount of $23,000. He just purchased it.
Sense. Yeah.
So you're saying you're trying to work with him, but why is it before us to be
Because he was. So the question was, we met with him. Him and Han about whether his fear was that you guys were just going to confirm the demolition. And I advised him that I've had people bring plans before or give us a plan and we would work with them. We would put on a continuance. If he didn't follow through with his plan, then we go ahead and do the demolition process.
Yeah. Yeah, we wouldn't release the order, Mr. Simmons. We would keep this order in place, and then we would go back in March and see where he's at. And hopefully the house is complete or near complete. And if not, if it's nothing started on it, then we could uphold the order at that time. It doesn't release what's happened so far, though.
Correct.
Yeah. And honestly, he's probably at that point in time working, at his own risk to some extent.
He's aware of the risk because I advised him that as far as he can submit the plans and stuff like that. If he wanted to come in, he said, well, he'll let the cards lie where they lie and, see where we're at with it. It's to say, like I said, I wouldn't walk through with Sue and with him if we didn't think the house was somewhat, if it was in a bad shape, the cards would be turned, and I would say just go ahead and order it to be demolished. I'm willing to give the guy a chance. He just bought it. He's done improvement as far as cleaning it up and stuff like that. There's no longer a hole in the back roof. There was a room that had a big hole in the back. He's covered that and protected it from the elements and stuff.
Okay.
So again, you're requesting that this be continued to the first meeting in March, which would be March 3rd. At that time, if you, and then we have to give him notice again of the March 3rd date. So at that March 3rd, either you can come in and say that I don't want to pursue this any further because you have that absolute right, or you can say he's made no attempt at approving and we're ready to go forward on that demolition hearing and be heard on the merits.
Correct.
So for purposes of today, the motion in front of you from Ms. Vandenberg is just to continue this matter until the March 3rd hearing.
Yes.
Motion to continue until the March 3rd, 2025 meeting.
Being a first or here a second on it.
Support.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Chris, thanks for working on this one and putting it all together. I'd say let's just make sure he does what he says he's going to do.
Thank you.
So which one do you want to do next, Chris? Is anybody here for 120 West Custer Ave? We're doing the demolition hearing on that. Anybody here on that behalf? Hearing none, floor is yours, Ms. Vandenberg. And then also just for the record, you have prepared and submitted the affidavit of service on this matter as well, correct?
That's correct. Okay. 120 West Custard. Basically this house, there was a suspicious house fire on 3/7/2023. There was the state fire marshal who did the initial investigation, and we had to wait for that investigation to conclude before we can start giving the homeowner orders as far as to repair and such. At that time, we sent a code violation letter out on 8/12/23 with no response. Sent an order of repair on 8/26/23 with no response. The house still sits in the same condition, burnt out. We have given a notice in order to demolish on 9/13/2024. Notice of hearing on order to demolish on 9/13/2024. And then publications, November 6th, November 13th, Lepore County Herald Dispatch. As far as notifications, everyone has been notified and there's an affidavit of such. I have not heard from any of the family members in town, out of town. They pretty much walked away from the property. My suggestion would be to tear it down.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There no motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Chris, again, thank you for putting this together. I know how long these take you to do.
Okay, and the last one will be 901 Manhattan Street. Is anyone here for the demolition hearing for 901 Manhattan Street? Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Vanderbilt, the floor is yours. And again, for the record, you did submit, prepare and submit the affidavit of service, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
901 Manhattan Street, deeded owner Kaja Holdings 2 LLC. Code violation set forth, condition of windows, exterior doors, basement hatchways, 22-398 stairways and porches, section 22-453 floors, walls, roofs, 304.2 protective treatments. Photographs were taken last Friday, 11/14/2024. Water disconnect was 7/7/19. Gas was disconnected 2021, electricity at 2020. There's another property back in 2016. We sent a vacant property registration with no return. We had an order to repair on 5/11/2020, order to repair on 1/14/21. Vacant property registration request again, November 23. I ended up boarding up the house on 8/28/24 because of the fact of kids and everybody were breaking in, kicking in doors and such. I did a notice in order to demolish on 9/13/2024. Notice a hearing on order to demolish 9/13/2024. Publications November 6th, November 13th, LaPorte County Herald Dispatch. Copies of certified letters, serial numbers, and tracking numbers are included with this. Basically, I know this house from personal experience. I used to work for the banks, and back in 2014, I was in this house and it had a small fire in the basement. Since then, it was purchased by Kaja Holdings. People have been in and out of there, like renting it, and never could afford to keep the house or maintain the house. And this house has been sitting for the last 3 years, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And now we've got broken windows, we've got doors kicked in, so that's where we're at. We ended up boarding up the house. Same thing, kids get dropped off in that corner. Got kids walking by. My recommendation was to tear it down.
And again, this is just on the opposite block of the previous home. And again, the high school that's out there, middle school that's out there, they're all over this property most days and at Marquette every day. I see them.
I will say Marquette does call in and have complaints about these two particular houses and in particular the light and stuff like that. So with the kids and stuff, it's
two of the most asked questions about houses that I get. So
correct.
It's a pleasure of the board. Any questions of Ms. Vanderboer?
Motion to demolish.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Again, Ms. Vanderboer, I appreciate you putting all this together and putting all this work. It takes a lot of time to do this.
Thank you.
Ms. LePage, is there anything we need to do to close the hearing?
No, you could just make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Are there any board comments, first of all? And I'll adjourn this. Any board comments? Okay. Hearing any board comments?
I have one.
Or go ahead.
Just real quick. Ernie, Ernie, is that your name, Ernie? The list that you put together for the gutters. I know that there's been turnover in the sanitation department, et cetera. I think Mr. Prespolinski might be a part of that process.
He told me, so I will get it back.
You're being taken care of with him.
I didn't make a copy.
Okay, great.
So I'll go back out.
Okay, good, thanks.
Any other comments from the board?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment to the public that Franklin Street two-way travel on Franklin will begin 11/25 next week. We'll see how we can get around the new directions.
Yes, I have been seeing people already parking the other way, which is good. So, any other comments from the board? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, I'll call for adjournment. I thank you all for attending and thanks the public for being here.